Just picture it now in your mind. It's the 9th of June, 2007, and you are having the absolute pants scared off you by some statues. Blink is an episode no one will forget soon, but did you know these things? I'm Sean Ferrick with Who Culture, and here are 20 things you didn't know about Blink. Number 20. The title wasn't decided until production began. Every episode of Doctor Who needs a title. It's a running joke among fans that these usually end up being something of the something or something and the something, and initially, Blink also used that format. Due to some tight scheduling, there was just one script meeting for this episode. It was originally called Sally Sparrow and the Weeping Angels, but showrunner Russell T Davies didn't like that title, so Stephen Moffat offered some alternatives, one of which caught Russell T Davies' eye. No pun intended. RTD was captivated by the idea of calling the episode Blink, and instructed Moffat to go back through the script and add the word in as many times as possible, like a cheesy 50s movie trailer. Moffat obliged, and the word blink is heard over 20 times throughout the episode. Number 19. The TARDIS being rocked was surprisingly simple to film. In the episode's grand climax, Sally and Larry finally enter the TARDIS after being pursued by a group of weeping angels. There's just one problem: the angels also want to get in. The Stone Assassins proceed to violently rock the TARDIS back and forth as Sally and Larry get flung around the inside. Those interior shots were a lot easier to film than you might think. Rather than moving the set or doing anything complicated, the actors were instructed to simply throw themselves around the TARDIS. The camera operator would then tilt the other way, giving the impression that the whole interior is being violently shaken. You don't have to break the bank to produce some TV magic. Number 18. David Tennant recorded his lines all by himself. Even though David Tennant isn't in Blink very much, he's still on top form and went to great lengths to give the best performance possible. To recreate the half-conversation the Doctor has with Sally, Tennant recorded his lines in a room on his own without having Carey Mulligan to bounce off. Don't ever say he didn't suffer for his art. From a scripting standpoint, this conversation also presented in a rather lonely manner. Moffat wrote the full conversation, removed Sally's lines, and then handed the Doctor's lines to Tennant, believing that this would make his acting feel more authentic. Number 17. Moffat didn't know how to defeat the angels. For all his amazing work on Doctor Who, Stephen Moffat's greatest legacy might be the creation of the Weeping Angels. He maybe tarnished their reputation slightly with some of the additions to their lore in Series 5 and Series 7, but this insistence on fleshing them out was understandable, considering how difficult it was to write them the first time round. While writing Blink, Moffat couldn't actually think of a way to defeat the angels. He'd written himself into a corner. How were these almighty hunters going to be stopped without the Doctor being there? He even asked Mark Gatiss for help with the ending. That was probably just an excuse for those two to hang out. Just kiss already. In the end, Moffat came up with the angels stood around the four walls of the TARDIS solution after realizing that his script notes made a point of there being only 4 angels in the episode. Number 16. The opening nighttime scene was shot in broad daylight. Filming at night must be a total pain in the backside. Not only is everything pitch black, but you've also got to organise dozens of people to be somewhere at an unsociable hour. It being filmed in England, it was also probably raining. That might be why the Doctor Who team opted to film the opening of Blink in the middle of the day, despite the fact it's set during the dark of night. As recounted by composer Murray Gold on the DVD commentary, the scene where Sally discovers the writing on the wall in the mysterious Wester Drumlin's house was a lot brighter to begin with. Colour grading was used to make everything seem darker, and despite a few moments where the lighting looks a little off, the effect is unnoticeable. Number 15. It was the least watched episode of Series 3. For such a legendary episode, you'd think that Blink would have smashed all kinds of rating records, right? But in actual fact, the exact opposite is true. While by no means a ratings disaster, Blink drew an audience of 6.62 million viewers. That's the sort of number most TV shows would kill for, but when compared to its fellow Season 3 episodes, Blink was the least watched of the lot. The most viewed episode of the series, if you discount the Christmas special, was the opener Smith and Jones, with 8.71 million viewers. Blink's nearest competition was Daleks in Manhattan, with an audience of 6.69 million. Were audience put off by the fact that the Doctor was barely in this episode? If they were, then it was their loss. Number 14. The unusual way the Weeping Angel actresses stayed still. One of the most menacing parts about the angels is their stillness. Their ability to disguise themselves as statues means they can blend in almost anywhere. By the time you notice that they've moved, it's far too late. The only problem with this concept was finding performers who were willing and able to stay motionless for that long, but luckily the costume department had a plan to help that process along. The angels were brought to life by special effects guru Neil Gorton. The bottom half of the costume was made from skirts of stiff rubber, and underneath he included a bicycle seat stuck to a pole, so performers could stand perfectly still during shooting. This was an ingenious design choice that worked incredibly well, in fact a little too well. Gorton recalled an incident where a runner asked an angel performer what they wanted for lunch, only to discover they'd been talking to a statue prop the entire time. Number 13. Banto is watching a real BBC show. You'd be forgiven for forgetting that Banto was even a character in this episode. He's the owner of the DVD store where Larry works. It's here where Sally is given a list of DVDs containing the Doctor's Easter eggs. When we first meet Banto, he's watching something on TV instead of talking to his customers. Great business decision. He's watching a real TV show called Gangsters, which ran for 2 seasons in the 70s on the BBC and then vanished from the cultural eye for good. The other DVD covers and posters in the store were all made up, with the crew going to painstaking efforts to make the store seem populated. Number 12. The Weeping Angels eventually escaped. Blink's iconic ending reveals the Doctor knew exactly how to defeat the Angels without even being there. The Angels surround the TARDIS as it dematerializes, leaving all 4 of them gazing into each other's eyes, permanently unable to move. Or so we thought. Fast forward to 2021 and to the excellent Doctor Who game, The Lonely Assassins. The game starts with the player finding an abandoned phone containing all sorts of links to the events of Blink. With the help of unit agent Petronella Osgood and Larry himself, the player must stop the Angels from Blink, which have somehow managed to break free. How exactly? Well, that would be spoiling the game now, wouldn't it? Number 11. Young Billy and Old Billy were almost played by the same actor. Even though he only appeared in a handful of scenes, Billy Shipton left a memorable mark on Doctor Who. After showing Sally the West of Drumlin's collection and asking her out, Billy is sent back in time by the Angels and ends up playing a key role in getting the Doctor's information to Sally in the future. We see Billy in 2 different forms, one where he's young and one where he's old. The original plan was to make actor Michael Obiora to look older to play his aged self until Russell T Davies stepped in. Davis, along with producer Phil Collinson, felt that audiences would find it harder to invest in old Billy's plight if they could see he was played by an actor in makeup. Everyone agreed, so veteran performer Louis Mahoney was brought in as Old Billy. Number 10. Moffat was surprisingly relaxed while writing the episode. Being a writer isn't an easy job, especially on Doctor Who. You're constantly under pressure to come up with new characters, aliens, and locations, and you have to cram everything into a tight 45-minute package. Surprisingly then, Moffat has admitted he felt quite relaxed while writing Blink, stating that, "I figured the pressure was off because I was writing the unpopular one without the Doctor in it." Basically, if he didn't like Blink, well, that's because it's a Doctor-like story. And no, Russell, you can't use that same defense for Love and Monsters. Number 9. Why the Weeping Angel threw a rock at Sally. Going back to the opening scene now, and to the strange writing hidden beneath the wallpaper that tells Sally to duck. She eventually does and narrowly avoids being struck in the head by a big old rock. The thrower, the very first Weeping Angel to be shown in a Doctor Who episode. But why would an alien assassin that can move so quickly need to resort to such a savage form of attack? The answer, according to Moffat on the DVD commentary, was because the angel just wanted an easier victim. A lot of people have asked me, who threw the rock? The Weeping Angel threw the rock. Because of the particular MO of the Weeping Angel, and its ability to move while you see it, it is of course to their advantage to render their victims insensible. Considering that the Angels in Blink aren't at full strength, the 11th Doctor describes them as scavengers in Season 5, this does make some sense. Number 8. Sally's conversation with the Doctor was the hardest thing to write. Thanks to Billy's help, the Doctor is eventually able to have a conversation with Sally. Well, not really a conversation, you know what I mean. The scene is the linchpin of the entire episode. It's where Sally discovers what she needs to do, and it's where the Doctor reveals key information about the Angels, and most importantly of all, it's where the timey-wimey line comes from. Moffat knew full well just how important this scene was, and he struggled to get it bang on. He made several attempts to get it right before landing on the dialogue we all know and love today. He was also worried that this moment would be a huge disappointment, but hey, Stephen, it wasn't. Number 7. The much darker alternate ending. Despite being one of the scariest episodes of Doctor Who, Blink ends on a rather happy note. The Doctor and Martha are saved, Sally and Larry get all cozy, and all is right with the world. But this wasn't always how it was going to be. A large part of Sally's character is that she's fixated on the past, and Moffat revealed in an interview that she very nearly got her wish to live in a different time. Moffat wanted the episode to end with an angel ambushing Sally in the DVD store. Larry would then enter to find his new squeeze gone, only to notice her waving at him from a painting on the wall. Aside from being extremely bleak, this ending also doesn't feel right for Doctor Who, which is a show about hope and love. And while we're on the subject of happier endings, number 6. Sally was initially pregnant at the episode's end. Blink isn't just about Sally taking on the Angels, it's also about her getting it on with her dead friend's brother. Presumably, Sally Sparrow and Larry Nightingale bonded over having bird-related surnames. Hopefully they didn't go double-barreled though when they got married. To really drive their romance home, Moffat originally wrote Sally to be pregnant at the end of the episode. However, this was changed because Moffat wanted to show the couple getting together after Sally met with the Doctor and Martha, thus concluding her business with the Angels. Number 5. Weeping Angels often attack people who are sleeping. We've mentioned the Blink DVD commentary a couple of times already, and for the most part it's an insightful look into the writing and production of the episode. But then there were also a handful of useless yet entertaining nuggets like this one. While having a chat about the Angels, Murray Gold asked Moffat if they often prey on sleeping humans. Quick as a flash, Moffat says yes, because sleeping humans make for incredibly easy victims. Why waste your time chasing after a conscious person when you can sleep up on someone that's in the land of Nod? Moffat also adds that missing people are people who slept in the vicinity of a weeping angel. Thanks for the nightmares, mate. Number 4. Billy Shipton and the Curious Bird Patch. Easter eggs are a crucial part of Billy Shipton's journey and the episode as a whole, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that there's one woven into his very character. When we first meet Billy, he's wearing a leather jacket with a patch sewn into its left arm. What's the patch? A bird. Could this be a sparrow, a nod to the woman who would be at his deathbed? Could it be a nightingale, the surname of the man who would take his place at her side? Could it be a swallow, which has nothing to do with the story, but it is the bird that most resembles the one on the patch? Bird experts? Let us know. Number 3. The Angels attacking the TARDIS was shortened at the last minute. Right before Sally and Larry trick the Angels into staring at each other, they're chased into the TARDIS by a horde of fanged beasts. This chase sequence was brought to life in spectacular fashion. The shots of the Angels slowly advancing on their human prey are terrifying, which must have been a huge relief to the editor who spent hours poring over the footage. This part of the episode was one of the trickiest to nail. The pacing of the sequence was absolutely crucial, and it took several back and forths to get it just right. It was originally longer than it ended up being, with the decision to cut it down coming right at the last minute. Definitely the right call considering the effectiveness of the end result. Number 2. Only 2 statue props were used during filming. Great horror writers have a knack for taking something ordinary and turning it into an object of pure fear, so Moffat transformed every single statue in the world into a relentless demon hell-bent on ruining people's lives. Considering that the Angels are statues that only move off-screen, you'd think that the majority of them would be props that are naturally still. But as we previously mentioned, the Angels were largely brought to life by actors, and in fact only 2 angel props were used during production. The 2 fake angels were one with its arms outstretched and one with its hands over its eyes. Every other angel you see was played by those poor performers on bike seats that we talked about earlier. It's a testament to the skill of everyone involved that you can never tell which one is which. Number 1. The Doctor's final scene was incredibly weird on purpose. When the Doctor does finally show up in this episode, it's before its events have actually occurred. Well, for him at least. Time travel's confusing. Here, the Doctor and Martha are in the middle of a very strange adventure. They're carrying bows and arrows, there's talk of a migration of some sort, and they're apparently fighting a lizard. Okay. Well, the insanity was all Moffat's doing, as he wrote this final scene to be as strange as possible and threw in all these disparate elements just to dial up the kookiness. So no, there isn't a deeper meaning here, or something significant about this off-screen adventure. It's just a Scottish writer in a particularly silly mood. Now, thank you so much everyone for watching along with us. Thank you so much to the original writer, Jacob Simmons. Make sure you check out his article over on the website. And of course, thank you to Danny for turning this into a watchable video. Until I'm talking to you again, you make sure that you keep things wibbly wobbly, you look after yourself, look after your friends and family, and just stay peachy. Bye.